And welcome to the show featuring the only two guys not considered for the LSU job. It's Garage with Gas on Take 5 on the mighty Jason Puckett Sports Network. And happy December, everyone.
Yeah, welcome, and thanks to Puck Sports for our distribution and guidance. He handles our fan mail. He's really a full-service boss.
Yeah, I haven't found any in a long time. I didn't realize it was family. That's nice. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, all we need is a piece of fan mail. He'd handle it. He handles it. There just never is any.
Oh, I see.
That's how it goes.
Well, you're pretty cocky. Aren't you wearing your Indiana football hat and your Indiana sweatshirt in the background in front of a Big Ten championship game that you couldn't have even dreamed of, say, 12, 16 months ago?
My entire life. I mean,
right.
I remember especially when the Big Ten went to like the Big 14 or whatever, and they... I remember just talking to friends and family, go, well, Indiana's never going to go to the Rose Bowl. It's just never going to happen. We're never going to be better than all of these teams the same year. This is back when the Rose Bowl was more dialed in.
Right.
But here they are, if they win Saturday night, they're 5.5-point underdogs. But if they win, which they could,
they're going
to go to the Rose Bowl of all things. That it works this year that they would. And, second time in my lifetime, first time in 58 years, they'd play in the Rose Bowl, and you're right. It's still, I watch it and I still have a hard time.
What are my eyes seeing? I know what you mean, man. Yeah. What am I seeing? Can I really be watching this?
Yeah, it's like I told you a few weeks ago when I opened up the Athletic and the headline was, "Can anyone stop Indiana?" And I'm like, what the hell?
That's the thing that jumps out at me more than anything, Gas, is they're playing like a badass Big Ten team of old. They kick your ass on the offensive line. They kick your ass on the defensive line. They're more physical than you are. I mean, they're all the things that a classic Big Ten power has to be that they never were, never even close to being. And now, boom, they are.
Yeah, and they've he's played the transfer portal well. He's recruited well, but he coaches. He is just a great coach. And I mean, it's such a stark difference from the guys we've had in the past, all of whom had pluses. But I mean, this guy, it's just, it's funny. The other, what game was it where they were in Wisconsin, I think, where they were kind of struggling in the first half. They're coming off that big Penn State win, so they were flat. And all the announcers were like, oh, I bet Cignetti will really let him have it at halftime. And I'm like, first of all, coaches will tell you that very rarely happens.
No.
There's not enough time, and it's too late at that point. If you're screaming at him, you've lost. And he said he went in and he goes, it reminded him of when he was like his second year at Indiana, Pennsylvania, the Division II team he coached. And they were losing to Lockhaven at halftime. Lockhaven had lost 47 straight games. And he kind of gave the same talk. Just relax, keep doing what we're telling you. I just think he's a great coach. And I can't believe I'm going to be there Saturday night with my brother, who's given a lot more than I have to the Indiana program. He's gone to games since 1975. And we're going to be sitting there in the Lucas Oil Stadium trying to root them onto the Rose Bowl. It's amazing.
Home game, for all intents and purposes.
Kind of a home game, although it's only an hour and a half from Columbus. There'll be a lot of red in the stands. And between that and Indiana basketball in Louisville that afternoon, that city's going to be awash in red. There's going to be nothing but red throughout Indianapolis, so it'll be a fun time.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Thanks for all that. Well, we could go straight into the Huskies to stay in college football, but why don't let's veer into the NFL and talk about. I'll be honest, Dave. I would not have believed shutouts in the NFL were so rare. It just didn't seem like. And yesterday was the first time the Vikings have been shut out since 2007, and the first time the Hawks have authored one since 2015. So. It's a bigger deal than I thought, just getting a shutout and then getting another win. And granted, the offense has some holes, and we can discuss that. But the defense, it looks good enough to carry them a long, long way. This reminds me so much of 2013, about the year before it all percolated, when you could start to see the defense getting so good.
Yeah, they are just amazing to watch, man. I was just very, very impressed, as you have to be, and every aspect of how they played defense. For some reason, Matt Bosmer, is that his name? I'm already forgetting it.
Brosmer, yeah.
Who was it? Steve Mariucci on the NFL.com pregame show predicted he would throw for a rookie record 458 yards in that game. Rex Ryan I'm telling you, I saw it.
Yeah.
I understand your face.
Dave.
Rex Ryan, who's doing ESPN's thing, said something about throwing 4 or 5 touchdown passes. For some reason, this guy had some, I don't know, they were just fooling around, some support in some strange places. But I mean, the Seahawks did exactly what you'd expect a good defense to do to a rookie quarterback, and that is carve him up, destroy him, take hope out of him. And the interception he threw was just the worst sort of mistake a rookie can make. And he made it. They took advantage of it, and they scored. And yeah, sure, the offense. They'll have their day. I'm not worried about them, Gas. I'm not worried about the offense. This is the day for the defense to pick up the slack, make up for what they thought was an off effort against the Titans last week, and they did.
They did. I'll back up one on Max Brosman on the criticism of his interception. You're right. It was a terrible play. It's a terrible play call. I was laughing at the TV announcers. It's 4th and 1. It's middle of the second quarter, and the Vikings are very much in the game. Now, maybe it wasn't going to matter, but here you've got, and the announcers are all excited. Oh, you got to go for it here. You got a rookie quarterback, and they're listing all the reasons why they shouldn't go for it on 4th and 1.
Right.
Kick the field goal, tie the game, muck it up, keep it dirty, keep it a street fight, so maybe you'll have a chance to win. Instead, they call a play that's asking him to make a play, and he does. He makes a play for Seattle. So dumb play call.
Yeah.
The only thing with the offense that concerns me a little is the Vikings dialed up so much pressure and they never figured it out. But it's funny when you can say, well, the offense really struggled and they only won 26-0.
Right. They won by 4 touchdowns. I mean, if it was a 12-0 win, 9-0 win, okay.
Yeah.
And I know the defense got one of the scores, but I guess I'm still a little concerned about the this is what I meant when I tweeted out yesterday, that now we know what Vikings fans feel like when they sent out in the first half, because now you're watching, I'm sorry, I can't help it, I'm watching Sam Darnold. Every pass that he throws that's incomplete, I'm wondering how close is that to an interception? How close is he to panicking? What was that decision like? I'm bringing all this stuff up watching him now because the 4 picks last week are a little, not lack of confidence in him, but I can still see the gunslinger in him. The kid who wants to take a chance, where he didn't really have to.
Here's an interesting note with him. Completion percentage wise, he's 8th in the league, 68.2%. That's pretty good. He's 8th in the league. 5 of the last 7 games, he's been below that number. And in 4 of those, he's been significantly below it. You're down in the 50s, which isn't going to get it done. So your eyes don't deceive you. He's sputtering a bit in some ways and not getting, not being as efficient as he needs to be. So yeah, I'm with you. I think there's some concern there.
Yeah, with this defense, you should not be throwing high-risk passes under any circumstance.
Right.
I mean, you shouldn't be doing it. And, that's something he'll get to, I imagine. It's a problem with guys like this, Gas, in the situation like this is probably the strength that got him to this point. Got him up the long path of high school football and college football because, he had the guts to make the play. And now you got to have the guts not to make the play.
Yeah,
and that really kind of goes against your trends and everything. So I think that's the kind of the fight he's fighting, because he believes he can do anything because he kind of has been able to do anything. 1st-round draft pick of the NFL, superstar quarterback in college. So it's hard to unlearn that stuff, and we'll see if he gets to that point. But, it's really just 9-3. I mean, it's a fantastic year going on. They look as good as anyone in football this year. No one is perfect. Everyone looks flawed. It's just, every week the perspective can change a little bit, and we'll see what they look like when the season ends. But once again, I'm wishing the season would end already, because they are ready for postseason play.
Yeah, the defense, definitely. Shout out to Jason Myers, who's really over the years developed into an incredible weapon for this team. And I know you don't want to settle for field goals and all of that, but on a day where you have to, it's good to have those extra points as you get down near the end of the game. And it's not a close game because your guy has been banging them home from 55 yards just regularly. I mean, not even a thought that he's going to miss. It's I think the most successful Marist Red Fox in NFL history, isn't he? Is there anybody else who's even in the running for that discussion?
I didn't know Marist had a football program.
Yeah, I think he's a Red Fox. I believe that's right.
They might. That's what their nickname is, though, for sure.
I said it with authority, so I think it's true.
I did many a Red Fox basketball game.
Yeah. Well, who was it? Smits was from there. Wasn't Rick Smits a Marist Red Fox? I think he was.
May have been.
Duncan Dutchman.
It's
we veer off.
Yeah, we'll veer back on the lane here. Chicago is the number 1 seed now, Gas, in the NFC. I mean, that's. What do you make of that?
if the number one seeds hold, and I think tiebreaker-wise, Denver may have slipped around New England, but let's just say it's New England. It's New England and Chicago in the Super Bowl if everything holds, which is, you talk about a Super Bowl that was on no one's radar, and there's a lot to be done still before that happens. But I did think yesterday, and maybe I'm underselling New England, and maybe I'm underselling Chicago or Philadelphia. As I'm watching the Hawks, I don't think they're the best team in the NFL, but I also don't think there's a beast out there. You dial me up any playoff game right now, I'm like, hey, they could win that. I don't see a team where you go, they are just, I mean, maybe if you have to go to Philadelphia because of the recent history, it's going to be tough, but I don't know. I think they can handle themselves in those situations.
I think what we've got going for us here perhaps is a changing of the guard year, which would be fine. I mean,
Right.
A lot of the familiar faces that have dominated the postseason aren't guarantees at this point. And of course, the biggest one is Kansas City. And, teams that haven't been there, the Bears, the aforementioned Bears, the Seahawks. I think the Dallas Cowboys are an interesting team now, a very interesting team now, because of how they've been playing the last couple of weeks, how they've reacted to tragedy on that team, I think is pushing them to different places. I mean, they look like a playoff team you don't want to mess with. New England obviously has won 9 in a row. Denver, I thought the Russell Wilson contract was going to cripple them.
Yeah.
And in fact, it did not, Denver being new. So you got a lot of Indianapolis was going to be one of those teams. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to stay in it, but the Texans are rolling back. It's going to be a year of change, I think, in the NFL.
And Denver won one of those games last night that you're going to look back on if you're them. I mean, it was a great football game, and the Commanders it was a fun game to watch. But Denver hung in there. A lot of crazy calls, a lot of replays, a lot of delay. The game was 3.5 hours long, almost 3 hours and 40 minutes long. You think about that on the road, and if Washington makes that 2-point conversion, you got that flight back to Denver, kicking yourself for blow, and instead you find a way to make a play and win. And how much can you ride that for a while? Back to the Hawks for a minute and to your jersey. I remember when you got your Jalen Millow jersey, and I was like, well, I think he's going to be fun to watch. And they said we're going to use him and we're going to get him into the mix. Maybe, is that something? I mean, is it too late in the season to even think about that? Or they said they were going to do it. He played in the second series of the season. And I don't think he's been in since, or if he has, it was not in any kind of
I think it was
big role.
I think one play since. And to answer your question, I don't know. I mean, we got a new offensive coordinator, a head coach who's only been there for 2 years. I don't know what the tendencies are going to be here. I mean, I still see the same thing in him that we all saw, that he's a weapon who's really not particularly, I'm going to say talented because he's very talented, but not skilled in the NFL ways yet. But has definitely got some of the aspects you need to be able to make a big play in the NFL. I'm putting it that way. And I got the feeling that, coming down the stretch, there's going to be an opportunity or two for him to make that play because they're going to be able to use it better. I think maybe it was like a new toy. They rushed to use it, and they really weren't sure of how he was going to handle things. Now it's 10 weeks into being, backup quarterback, practicing more, understanding the NFL more. Maybe he's going to have a chance in this last quarter of the season to be a bigger factor.
It's funny whenever I hear myself saying, why aren't they using him more? These guys are professionals and they're watching Milroe every day in practice. They're watching him every day in film session. And they have a feel probably for definitely if he's ready. I mean, I doubt if he's like dazzling them. They go, well, let's not use him this Sunday.
Right, right.
It may just be taking more time.
But they might be saving him for that magic moment against the Rams, the 49ers or something.
Right,
right. Really possibility there.
Yeah. All right. So that's, I think, all the NFL news that there is. The college news, Washington and Oregon, kind of entertaining, but Oregon in charge the whole way.
Yeah.
And Washington finishes 8-4 at the start of the year. Graz, I think we both agreed 9-3 is what because I don't think either. And you go right through. They did exactly what you thought, except they lost to Wisconsin, and that one's hard to explain. But the other, losing home to Ohio State, lose on the road to Michigan, losing home to the Ducks. And not get outclassed in any of those games.
Nope.
I mean, it weren't like they were close, but didn't get airmailed. And yet their coach, I just have, there's this bubbling of I don't know if unpopularity is the right word.
I don't know what it is either, man. Let me run this by you, guys. It's just that he takes a bad picture.
Yeah, right.
A lot of the photos of him, he just doesn't look right. He looks like an accountant, an evil accountant who's going off to jail, or he's
passive.
I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I think for Husky fans, this is this is the most you could have hoped for, and realistically speaking. I mean, we talked about having one more win, but you weren't going to be as good as Ohio State this year. You weren't going to be as good as, well, it turned out Indiana this year or Michigan this year. So, 8-4, where do you think they'll go? Will they go to San Diego maybe?
I think that's a possibility. It sounds like either San Diego or the LA Bowl. And the LA Bowl San Diego's a better bowl game because it's got more history and more tradition, but you're going to get to play one more time, and that's important. I thought it was funny, all the talk that, well, Florida's coming after Jedd Fisch. And I mean, here I am saying I think he's a pretty good coach, but I'm like, come on, man. How's Florida going to sell this guy to their fans?
Right.
He's been, he's not been terrible up here, but he's 14-8 over 2 years. This is how you're gonna,
How many pictures do you have of him with Steve Spurrier back in the day to show?
Right,
when he was a coach there for a year or two.
There's only so many, and so I thought it was interesting that everybody was so worried about that. I never thought that was a concern at all. Florida had their eyes on they had their eyes on Kiffin for a while, and we'll get to that. I thought our friend Dave. And what's he go by? Softy, I think. Softy Mahler. Mahler,
I think it is.
Isn't that our guy? Softy had a great point at the end of that game the other day where he said, basically, and I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but just that the lack of development among DeMond Williams, the quarterback who shows flashes of greatness, but he didn't get demonstrably better this year, and neither did the offense. The offense was a huge disappointment for the team, and that maybe is the big red flag for the Huskies right now. Is, Fisch was blowing the horn pretty loud for how good Williams was, and again, I think we can all see it, but it didn't manifest itself in better play this year for him. And I mean, some of his passes the other day looked like desperate, freshman level passes, which is kind of what this guy doesn't have a ton of experience yet. There's certainly room for him to improve.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, and it sounds like, Fisch is staying. And it sounds like he wants a lot of those guys to stay as well. So it doesn't feel like this is going to be as big a transition year as it is for a lot of schools with 30 or 40 new players. So, yeah, I think we give him one more year. But you're right about him being a little disappointing this year. Just them sputtering on offense more than I thought they would, I guess. That looked like it was going to be a strength.
Their problem is they've got to keep swimming fast because financially they're going to be a little bit of a disadvantage in the Big Ten for 5 more years, a major disadvantage really, depending on how things, if nothing changes, which who knows in college football anymore. And they've got to try. I mean, you've seen it develop. The Big Ten has a huge middle that's easy to fall into and hard to get out of.
Yeah.
Just a middle of very
Iowa here,
teams.
Michigan State there.
Yeah,
Rutgers, Purdue.
You've got to be well. Let's not put Purdue in the middle. Let's not get carried away there, Buckeye boy. I just still don't see how this is sustainable for Washington, and for that matter, for UCLA.
No,
I even USC. How is it sustainable to stay in this league? Although they're getting UCLA and USC are getting more money. But it's just the travel, the pressure. I don't know, and I don't know that anything can or will change. College football is so massively screwed up on every different level. And tell me again, football fans, how paying the players has ruined the sport when the players look at a guy like Lane Kiffin and go, well, there's my role model. I guess I'll take whatever anybody offers because that's what the coach did.
Right, which is, Kiffin is the perfect guy to wear that suit. It's funny. What's the guy's name at Tulane who's going to Florida?
John,
spacing on it at the moment.
Yeah.
John Pressel or something like that, I believe.
I'll get our research department on that right now.
But my point there was he's at Tulane, right?
Yeah.
My point there is Tulane has got a game coming up to perhaps qualify for this championship, and they're going to play a bowl game as well. And you know what? They're going to keep him as coach during that time. Their AD has talked about it extensively and said, we've had good relationships. This guy's been straightforward with me about what he wants to do, how he wants to be. We feel comfortable going with him into this situation. So this is really a Lane Kiffin being an asshole story for the last 20 years, as much as it's, unbelievable that they would even think of keeping him, because a lot of coaches are going to let their guys stay who are going to other teams because they have good relationships with their current programs, unlike Kiffin, who's just a hitman who just, has gone from place to place and just taking more money and then tries to cloak it in a holier than thou attitude, which really just offends people. I mean, it reminds me of Alex Rodriguez a lot in his least like days. He's just disingenuous in every aspect.
Yeah, like unable to see himself at all, how
Right.
others see him. John Sumrall is the name we were trying to come up with, the Tulane guy. And the big difference, obviously, he's going to Florida. He's going to a different conference, a different level. There's some room for goodwill there. But Kiffin is in such, he's boxed himself in a world where he really can't believe that he's saying, I'm going to one of your arch rivals, but I want to stay and coach here for another 5 weeks. There isn't a company in America the size of Ole Miss football where the CEO would say, I'm leaving to go across the street to our rival company, but I'd like to stay for a few weeks and just kind of see what happens here.
Right.
But for him to, and I'll tell you who's just down to zero credibility now, and it's a shame because I think he's a good game analyst. Kirk Herbstreit should get off talking head shows because he comes off as dumber than dumb and clueless first of all, to not even say, oh, by the way, I am represented by the same guy that represents Lane Kiffin, so I'm biased here.
That's
but for him to act like, oh, they really should do that. Come on. In what? You're telling me, Herbie, that if Ryan Day announced tomorrow, I'm leaving Ohio State to go to Michigan, but I want to coach Ohio State through the playoffs, that the Buckeyes would go, well, sure, you just stay here and have a good time with our guy. I mean, in no world is that possible, except in the world Lane Kiffin has created, and I guess his sycophants, guys at ESPN who want to keep their relationship with him. I thought the whole thing, I've got no problem with him leaving.
No.
If I was Mississippi, I'd have cut him loose a week ago. I said, look, we're going to make your dream come true. We're going to clear the runway. And
an Ole Miss man is going to coach Ole Miss.
Oh, that's damn right. I thought of your boy Bo during that a lot because it's I don't know. I guess I could go on forever about it. I think you could too. These guys live in a make-believe world. When was the last time anybody told Lane Kiffin no about anything? So in his world, it's like, oh, I'm sure they'll let me do this.
Well, he's in a different category than most because he is such a slimy character. It has been for so long that, there is no circumstance that would allow this to happen to him. I don't care where he was going. I don't care what the situation would have been. I mean, he's going, look, you know what? Good riddance, because you're going to a place where they devour coaches who aren't successful, and they do it immediately with extreme prejudice.
Yeah.
They'll pay you your money, but they'll send you packing if you don't do well at LSU. LSU is the true money first program, the true gangster program, I think, can be not up to this point in college football.
Yeah, I agree. And I would argue primarily because of Kiffin, who is, it seems like, a pretty good coach.
Yeah, he is.
The Ole Miss job with him in it is better than the LSU job right now. You look at the last 6 years for Ole Miss, look at the last for LSU. This is a better job, and maybe you're going to get more resources. You get a little more money. Ole Miss wasn't paying him, crackerjack. They were paying him some good money. I think that these guys, they're addicted to the chase, I think. And of all things, 10, 12 years after he left the good green earth, Al Davis is again, everybody points to him and said, boy, this guy had Lane Kiffin pegged 25 years ago.
He did,
professional liar. He called him a professional liar. I mean, Al Davis, who's not always grounded in reality either, man, he was on target with this one.
Absolutely was. And we'll see what happens with him at LSU. But that's the point you made before, which was a good one, is, he won 10 games at Mississippi State 3 times, and I think in the previous 50 years they've done it twice.
Yeah.
He can coach.
Ole Miss is a better, I think, and I think there's a notion, the old notion of, well, you can win a national championship here, but you can't win it there. Nonsense. Look, we're staring at a playoff that might include Indiana, Mississippi, Tulane, James Madison. Look, man, you can win a national championship in a lot more places than you could a few years ago. And now, granted, Ohio State will still be the favorite, and the Blue Bloods will always have an advantage, both perceived and reality. But the idea that you can win at Baton Rouge where you couldn't win at Oxford is bullshit. You could win it. They could win it this year with a new head coach. They could win it. They're good enough to do it.
Well, I'm going to tell you another thing I think, Gass, that you might not agree with, but I think this Lane Kiffin thing is for college football. I think it's great.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
Oh, you agree?
That.
Yeah. I mean, it keeps it in front of the cameras, and this is the soap opera stuff that the NFL managed to capture about 10 years ago to make them a 24/7, 365-day-a-year deal. And this is the same thing in college football. The chaos in college football has made college football vastly more interesting for the viewer.
Yeah, and there's really, they talk about the schedule. There's nothing they can do to the schedule to change this because the schedule is based on the academic schedule, and everybody kind of has to have their poop in a group by the time January 1st rolls around. I mean, I guess you could have a dead zone for hiring coaches. I don't think legally you could do that, though.
No, legally you can't do anything.
I think this is what it is. I guess if that one thing, the SCORE Act, gets through Congress, and boy, it seems good that Congress is focusing on this because everything else is going so well.
Right. Right.
Why not worry about college football? But they might get some antitrust exemption out of that, and maybe they could start doing some things. But you're right in terms of, now and again, I saw somebody wrote that, now that this has happened, other coaches are going to feel like they've got cover, not just this year, but in the future. Like, I can leave my team if it's on the way to the playoff because Lane Kiffin did it. It's
well,
it
so
is,
what?
Yeah, right. It's good for the sport in term. It's not good for the players. It's maybe not good for the fans, but boy, does it stir up interest.
Well, it's fair for the players because they can go too now. I do think it's a much more fair environment the players in college football are in right now. I understand, about the other stuff, and the guys will be making mistakes doing it, but that's one of the things that is happening right in college football, and it's it's amazing that it. Like most of the great sports institutions, they can shrug off just about everything. If they've still got the games playing and they're still playing well, which they do. I mean, it's strong as can be, college football right now. The last 2 or 3 years, I've looked at this thing that judges the 100 most watched programs in television, and they're all NFL,
right?
And a handful of them are college football games.
Right.
College football is rapidly becoming number 2, and when they have this kind of buzz around it, it's going to get there.
You throw out enough Alabama-Auburn Saturday night, which was a really compelling game to watch. The weekend was kind of dull. There weren't a lot of really great, close, nail-biting games, but there usually are. There'll be great ones here in the next month and a half as we get to the playoff and the championship and the games, Graz. The games always fix everything.
Yeah, they do. Yep, they do.
They can't fix this, Graz. I have got a story for you that happened within 5 miles of where I sit. It's jerked out of the South Whidbey Journal, and it's right here, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. 76-year-old woman driving an electric car led police on a high-speed chase that ended with her fleeing down an embankment, hiding in the woods, and refusing to cooperate once officers called.
Where the hell are you living? I thought you were on Whidbey Island.
There's a spunky gal here. Jane Franklin of Port Townsend. Now, the incident began when police received a 911 call from somebody at the Green Bank post office who reported there's a woman out here who's plastered, which I'd just like to hear that 911 call. So deputy arrives. Franklin gets in the car. The deputy's knocking on the window saying, I want to talk to you for a second. And suddenly the car jolts and moves away. And the deputy said she was startled because she didn't realize it was an electric car. And, of course, electric cars make no noise. So the getaway is achieved by a silent car, right? So now they head down the main highway, and they've got an Island County sheriff chasing her. They've got a state trooper chasing her. And they both back off once she crests 90 miles an hour on this 2-lane highway. She's passing cars, so they're like, all right, back off. But eventually, the Langley Police Department, the third law enforcement agency to get involved in this,
they put their foot down.
They see her in Bayview, and she's parking her car and running, and they've got the car's description. Well, that's got to be her. She looks like a 76-year-old plastered gal. She's running down an embankment. They go after her. They get to the bottom of the embankment. She's basically cornered. She can't go anywhere, but she won't let them near her. She won't cooperate with them. They handcuff her. The handcuffs fall off because her wrists are so small. They can't get them tight enough to get them on there. So finally they and she will not get up. She won't let her. So finally they call paramedics and say, bring a backboard down here. And they strap her to the backboard.
Holy
and that's
shit.
how they carry her up to take her into jail. Hell of a day for her, huh? That's someone who was committed to the bit, man, from the very start. I'm getting away with this. All right, well, we'll talk next Monday, and maybe we're going to be talking about my favorite all-time team going to the Rose Bowl. Who knows?
You'll be hungover, that's for sure.
What?